A new core set? Are you kidding me? All right, guys, new core set's coming out in October, and I committed to doing all 11 models in the core set, and I'm at the last one. It's time to talk about Winter Soldier, comma, Operative. Winter Soldier's stat block is 434. He's got 6 health. He's 4 threat, size 2 medium move. Now, we don't have his backside, and Winter Soldier is a duality character, so I don't think it'd be totally nuts if he changed on his backside, but we're going to review him like he doesn't, because despite me waiting until the very last episode, they haven't spoiled it. So this is what we got. All right, Spec Ops Rifle, range 5, 5 dice, 0 cost builder. While it's oppressive before damage is dealt, for each wild in the attack roll, the target character loses 1 power. This is like bad sap. It's essentially sap without the power gain. It's fine. Range 5, best range in the game. Concussive Grenade. Range 3, 5 die, 1 cost spender. If the attack does damage, the target character gets the stun special condition. On a wild, it triggers Blinding Flash. After the attack is resolved, the target character and enemy characters within 2 of it gain the shock condition. That is a really cool spender. So stun on damage is fine. It's only a 5 die attack, so maybe it doesn't spike a huge amount of damage. The wild shock on everyone within 2, including the main enemy, can be game changing on like Gamma into Shield. His other spender is the Red Agent, range 3, 7 dice, cost 3. On hit wild, clean sweep, after this attack is resolved, it deals 1 damage to each other enemy character within 3 of this character. So kind of like Lashing Tendrils, except range 3 instead of range 2. He has Hidden Run, so he can make an attack action followed by a move action for 2 power. He has Killbox. Killbox is a super long ability. It's essentially Trick or Treat from Goblin. So if you end a move or a place within 4 of him and within 2 of a terrain piece that is size 3 or less, he can pay 3 power and he throws it at you. He has Spetsnaz training, the reroll 1 die on attack or defense if you're within 1 of him, and he has Stealth. I have strong feelings on this model, and everyone is comparing this model to normal Bucky. And normal Bucky is one of the best models in the entire game. Almost regardless of what this model was going to be, it was probably not going to live up to normal Bucky unless they really, really wanted to push the power level of Winter Soldier. I'm hoping that at Mini Stravaganza, we see a bunch of stuff get tamped down, and that Bucky 1 is probably going to be on that list. If anything is going to be touched in S.H.I.E.L.D., it probably should be Bucky 1. Bucky 1 exhibits a fundamental misunderstanding of how good 4 dice attacks are that I think kind of we all had, and it's kind of hard to blame the designers for misjudging that. I think I'm just going to review this guy ignoring his alter ego. That being said, if nothing happens to Bucky, you never play this guy. You play original Bucky. Original Bucky's so much better. Like, he might just be a better model for a threat less. Like, it's insane how much better normal Bucky is than this model. So, this model has some cool stuff. It's a gorgeous mini. The artwork's really good on it. Alright, so completely ignoring this guy's alter ego, I don't think this model is particularly good. I think this model, it has stacked on him a handful of abilities that AMG overvalues the strength of because they are kind of dangerous to combine. And I think as a result, this model kind of suffers. I've played a couple games with this model, and he's been totally fine. So, the big things this model has that I think are kind of overrated are stealth range 5. So we've seen shooting outside of stealth on a bunch of models now, and I think it can be very, very strong. And we've only seen it at range 4. You think about like Storm technically has it, Cassandra Nova technically has it, and then you have Moon Knight and the Commandos, and like all these models see play. Like Cassandra Nova being like the worst of them, and Cassandra Nova sees play in the factions that she's in. So it's clearly a very strong ability. And then Hit and Run is an ability that I feel like AMG prices like it's Charge, and it's just a worse version of Charge, and like almost always, because Charge can be used to extend your threat range. Hit and run can only be used to run, really. Or it can be used to like shift points, but it's action compression that only works if you're already in range of what you want to do. It doesn't give you move actions the same way that like charge can set up the double tap. And it's priced like it's just as good, and I don't think that it is. And then you mix hit and run in with stealth, and it means that like this model has a level of evasiveness that could be problematic. But personally, I haven't found that to be the case. They just kind of go after other stuff. Now, this model has some really cool stuff going on. Like, Concussive Grenade is one of the coolest spenders I've ever seen. Like, I love this like new one-cost spender renaissance we have that I feel like has started since the Commandos come out. And is it only on like shield models? But anyway, like, no, that's not true. It's not only on shield models. I guess this technically started with Domino. It essentially started with the incendiary grenades, like Dominoes, the Commandos, and Agent Venoms. Seeing another grenade that is like a cost one spender, I think is really cool. That does like tactical things. I think the grenades are a really cool way to differentiate like the soldierness or like the special spec ops type soldiers. And this one's really, really cool. Like, Blinding Flash is a great ability. God, it's going to be obnoxious to play against a shield. Like, if you hit this on me on Gamma, like, shock is, for shield, is very often stagger. And yeah, we have ways to pull it off, but boof, that's real good. And then, when you mix that with Killbox and Stealth, this character could potentially create situations where he's, like, very, very, very hard to approach. Is that strong enough for a 4 threat? I don't really think so. And the other thing that's kind of like making me down on this guy is that when we see shoot out of stealth, typically those are on 3 threats. And so 3 threats are at a price point where they can stay on like a back point or even like a midline point and stay in their stealth range and just kind of shoot and tap into other people, and they make their points. I don't think Winter Soldier makes his points if all he ever does is hit and run and shoot his rifle. He needs to be in there, hitting the concussive grenade, and building power to do Killbox. Alright, with all that being said, let's cover his card he got. Soldat activated. Soldat is just like Russian for soldier. So, soldier activated. Alright, so there's a massive glare on our spoiler for this card, but I believe the glare covers the word Hydra, so I'm going to review the card assuming that it covers the word Hydra. After you choose a leadership ability, if the leadership is Cabal, Criminal Syndicate, or Hydra, and allied James Bucky Barnes with the Spetsnaz training superpower may play this card. James Bucky Barnes gains the Compelled Minion superpower. When an allied character with an active leadership is within 2 of this character and is targeted by an attack, the allied character gains cover. After the attack is resolved, if the allied character was not dazed or KO'd, this character may pay 2 power. If it does, it may immediately make an attack with 0 cost, targeting the attacking character. Additionally, when this character begins an activation within 2 of an allied character with an active leadership, it gains 1 power and removes 1 damage. Alright, so this card is really interesting for a bunch of reasons. So obviously, you can play this with either Bucky. They both have the Spetsnaz superpower. It's interesting that it has that little rider in it. I think this is them future-proofing in case they ever want to put out a Bucky that's like pre-Winter Soldier. So it wouldn't make sense like if you put out like the original Captain America, like Golden Age Bucky, he wouldn't have Spetsnaz and he also wouldn't be brainwashed. So that's cool. The other thing that's really cool about this is so assuming that this is Hydra, Red Skull 2 is fragile. It is like one of his defining characteristics. It's one of the things that like keeps him balanced. And it's one of the reasons that like S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of dunks Hydra is because a lot of them try to play Red Skull into S.H.I.E.L.D. and you just kill Red Skull and then the faction like falls apart. Cover wildly changes the math on how hard it is to shoot Red Skull off the table. So that's really, really good. The if I shoot you, you shoot me back can be really strong. And all the Bucky's 0 cost powers are builders, or 0 cost guns are builders. So if you do 2 damage to my soft characters, you can do it again, because for some reason this isn't once per turn. It's also not a reactive superpower. You can do this to Mystique. Like, Mystique can show up, try to gun down Red Skull, and you can just murk Mystique back. Now that seems pretty tough because she has stealth. She should be able to set up a situation where she doesn't get shot, but be aware that, like, this is a reactive, like a reactive superpower that's not classified as one. And the reason it's like that is because of it granting cover, I guess. Because if it was reactive superpower, granting cover would cause all kinds of weird rule things. So it's like kind of half and half. I would have preferred if they had made this 2 superpowers and it gave you 2 superpowers. Essentially, instead of additionally, it just also gave you like Protect Me or something like that. And then just make that a separate superpower. But it's stronger this way. So with the 2 Buckies, with the original Bucky, this now gives you shoot them when they shoot your leader, and shoot them when they kill any model. This seems pretty good. I don't know if you're going to have the money to fund this, but you're going to have to be aware. And this isn't once per turn, so if my Bucky shoots your Red Skull next to your Bucky, you could potentially, shoot me 4 times. I don't see a reason why that wouldn't work. Now, the downside to this is that it doesn't give Winter Soldier cover. So people are just going to shoot Winter Soldier. Or at least, if you're playing this with the original Bucky, they're going to shoot the original Bucky. Meaning that, like, you have to be very careful about how you place him, as it makes him even more of a target than he was before. Right? Lots of people try to come in and they scalpel out your Got Your Back model. If your Got Your Back model is giving the only other target cover, it just teaches them to shoot the Got Your Back model. This card is much more interesting with the new one. Since the new one has stealth and range 5, it's much easier to be put in a position where they can shoot your leader, but they can't shoot Bucky. I think the card is a tremendous flavor win. It seems like it's going to be played. It seems strong. Like, it ignores a bunch of things. It makes the model actively better. It gives him, like, super healing factor. It's like really cool. Really, really cool card. Let's talk about where we can play Bucky 2. I know that I personally don't think he's very good, but places I'm interested in him is really just one spot. Okay, so, like, where's he affiliated? He's probably affiliated in all 3 of those spots. That he's probably a Cabal, a Criminal Syndicate, and a Hydra model, because, he's not... The original Bucky is only in S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's also a rogue agent, so he's like pseudo-affiliated everywhere, so his affiliations that he's actually in that he can play cards for is very small. I think this one, since he's not rogue agent, I don't think they'll ever print another rogue agent ever in the game. I think he's going to be in those 3 affiliations, and then maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. And I say maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. because, again, we don't know which models in the box are S.H.I.E.L.D. affiliated, and we know that it can play a bunch of the stuff, and he used to be S.H.I.E.L.D. affiliated. So I expect those to kind of be his 4 affiliations. I think that he's interesting in a couple spots if you have to play this version of Winter Soldier. I like him in Criminal Syndicate, Spider Foes, and Web Warriors. And that's because of his evasiveness. So in Criminal Syndicate and Web Warriors, it's because of his evasiveness. I can see a world where this Winter Soldier is contributing and, just like kind of hopping from D point to D point and potentially like making your leader harder to kill with Soldat, and then being hard to approach with Killbox. Like, the dream with Winter Soldier, or, like with Green Goblin, is to put your opponent low, like put them on like 2 hit points, and then the second they try to commit to your models, you trigger Killbox and you kill them mid-activation, so they still get the activated token. You don't hand over priority, but you still deny the activation. Can be really, really strong. I mention Web Warriors because of stealth. Web Warriors are like a big stealth spam faction. Like, the fact that like so few of their models are able to be shot. This is a similar thing. This will force people into playing directly into kill box. In theory, 5 dice builder at range 5 should give this guy plenty of power, and then the shot grenade can help keep both of those teams alive. Now, my favorite place to play him, and where I've played him a bunch, and this is really, in my experience, it's more cute than good, but I had a lot of fun with it, is to play him in Spider Foes, because now you can play the ultimate trap house list. You can play Cassandra Nova and Mysterio for their tricks and traps style ability, and then you can play 2 copies, or you can play Green Goblin and Winter Soldier for double kill box, and really just like make moving anywhere near your models just the most terrifying experience you've ever seen in your entire life. The 2 games that I have with this version of Winter Soldier in Spider Foes, I ran out of terrain before his power economy was ever a problem. It was actually very funny. You were able to see on the board like where exactly the fight took place because all the terrain was destroyed. The list is goofy. I highly recommend it. I had a really good time with it. But what do you guys think? Am I wrong? Is this Winter Soldier playable regardless of his alter ego problems? Let me know in the comments down below. And I have another video after this. I know I've covered all 11 models, but I've done more core box stuff. I can't stop making videos, guys. So make sure you subscribe so you see the next one that comes out. And don't forget that fun is a finite resource.